try. Just try and see what happens. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt to try. Trying is so important. And you don't know what can come out of that, even just for yourself as a person, character development-wise, you know?
From Kona Juda and Debia, Imon Msindis Wesi, Umvelisen Melis Wesiwe, formerly known as Wazi Madonsel, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture, but also formalize the street hustle.
Kona Juda and Debia, special edition, Amira Shariff, my scope. How you doing?
Hey, I'm nice, like, how are you?
Blessed and highly favored, blessed and highly favored. I said today, when I was making the list of like the people I need to talk to, you've been coming up, you've come up for like the past year, funny enough. A friend of mine used to go to Corp, so he's like, yo, you need to talk to her. You need to talk to her, you need to talk to her. And then I was hearing you're part of the Playroom as well, and now you work with the Gwellers, plus you're part of Until to a certain degree. You've been doing your thing for a while.
I was there for a minute,
Yeah. How's it been being in this creative scene?
I think I've been blessed. I think this, we all know the industry and the creative scene is not easy. You don't sign up for it to be easy. I think I've been fortunate enough to have had the journey with it that I have. I think creating Corp with my friends and starting it at such a young age, we were 16, 17, it gave me the pathway into opportunities like Until. It gave me the experience to get opportunities like that. And to work and collaborate with the likes of Little What's Good and Vogue Nights and be a partner involved in that, and with Party Time and Playroom. And all those experiences have contributed to where I am now, and I think I continue to reference them as I continue to move forward and whatever else comes my way. It's always important to me to look back at where you started and where you came from, because you don't know everything. No matter how much experience you have, no one knows everything. I don't know everything. I'm also still learning. There's this amount that I know, and the amount that I know, I take and I go with it. Yeah.
How do you go from doing your own thing and joining someone else's thing? Because it's always tricky for people to be like, yo, I'm kind of running my own events right now, so why must I be part of your events company?
That's a crazy question, because people ask me this quite often. And, there was a time, even when Corp started and even when Nandini started, I was helping out. Like, I'd help at the door, whatever. And I always go back to that thing of, if you're going to be in the creative space or in the industry in any way, we live in an ecosystem. And if anything, that ecosystem is about feeding into each other's ideas. I'm not... Me and you are both here. It's crazy because Until Genesis is what inspired me with Corp. And I got to Until and I got to be a part of Genesis. So it was a full circle moment for my inner child, my inner creative.
Because Corp was also part of the stages.
Yeah, exactly. And being a part of that collaboration and being able to take what I learned, self-taught myself, and then going into a space and going into Until and caring about it, because at the end of the day, the values between my value of why I started Corp and why I care about Until enough to be there to build it and make sure this thing sustains itself is because Until was my blueprint. And that's what the ecosystem's about. Generationally, we create blueprints for the next generation to better hone whatever it is they want to take on or start up, And that's a part of the ecosystem. So as much as I'm feeding into yours, I know it's going to feed back into mine, whether that's a lesson I've learned or it's in a monetary sense, whatever it is, or an experience, So it's that. It's a give and take experience, and I think we don't practice it as much as we should in this industry, but nurturing that ecosystem collectively is important. It's not about, I have my own thing going, so I can't invest in this thing. It's not, I think what was beautiful for me at my experience at Until was they knew where I came from, they knew what I cared about, and they gave me the balance of being able to hone in on what I love doing outside of the company and outside of their brand, but also I got to learn so much building their brand with them and building the events that I was doing with them and the skills that Tulani taught me, Tandile, Charles, Jax, shout out to all of them, because it made me better at what I love doing. You know, it confirmed things that I knew, and then I learned things I never knew I needed to know. So, yeah, I mean, in some ways, one thing isn't there without the other, genuinely. Yeah.
It's always rare and lovely to have someone who's like an age mate on the podcast, on the platform, because
Yeah.
like you're self-made in the game and you're multi-hyphenate creative.
Yeah.
All these other touches you have, you've recently been doing a lot of your art. How's that journey been?
It's crazy because I started with music growing up, and I really thought I was going to Juilliard. I was like, yeah, but my journey with music shifted. It became from going into being a musician and obviously going into an entertainment direction. So music's still very prominently in my life, but post that, photography and image making became a big part of who I am, and it became my safe space. I think as creatives, we're not easy on ourselves, so we don't give each other or ourselves that quiet time to create. And for me, that's what photography and image making is. And I went to Market Photo Workshop, I went to Through the Lens. My late uncle, the photography got inspired by my late uncle, who was part of the Bang Bang Club, so during the days of apartheid. So there's a history of photography and film in my family, and there's a heritage of it that I think I picked up, and it became my way to translate my own personal experiences. You know, I think a lot of what I love doing is always about everyone else's experiences. You know, how people feel at an event, you know, about an artist or whatever it is that I'm doing. It's always thinking about community and other people. So for me, photography is really my personal source of expression, my personal source of telling a narrative that's mine and just mine. Yeah.
You do that, you get gallery shows, now you're in a hotel. How's that? Because it's one thing to say, yo,
Sure.
I did that.
Yeah.
It's another thing to see what I did being interpreted by other people in all these different spaces.
Yo, it was scary, but I was also like, this is what I've always wanted to do. So, and I know that it's not where I want it to be yet. And I don't think anything is ever where you want it to be. But it felt good. I think it felt good to be in touch with the work that I make, because I'm constantly making sure everyone else is making the best work they can make. And so it was a dope moment for me on a personal capacity to be like, you can still keep doing this thing while doing everything else, and it's always going to be that safe space for you. I think even Kalashnikov and Murray and Matt, you know, I've known them for years, and both on a professional and a personal basis, and I think they've seen me grow up, so they've seen that journey of how I've chosen to, you know, take photos or what that means, and they see the potential of where that can go. And I think I'm now needing to hold myself accountable for what the next steps is after this Kalashnikov exhibition, Pablo House, you know. So I'm excited. I am making new work, which is exciting, and I'm giving it the time. Yeah, there's no such thing as no time. I've been telling myself, I don't have the time, but it's a lie. Like, you have the time, you make the time, you know? So that's where it's at right now. I do have new work coming, so it's exciting.
How do you deal with all these personalities? Because in every space you walk into, you have to present a certain version of yourself.
Yes and no. Growing up, I always told myself, because like I didn't really fit in with the institutions at school. Like, I was a popular kid, but schools hated me. Like, teachers hated me, schools hated me. And maybe it's because I was always I always was against status quo, true to what I wanted to be, right? And I always tell people this, you know, like, don't change who you are because you feel you need to fit into a different space from what you're usually in. Like, if I'm a vinyl brew and I'm at neighborhood having a glass of wine every weekend, and one day I decide I'm gonna go to Louis to the club, don't try to be the pop bottle brew. Continue being the brew who drinks wine.
What if I'm
as
popping
a
a
neighborhood.
Sauvignon though?
Yeah, don't order a glass of wine, like, at the bar. Like, and I think that way people resonate more when you're true to yourself, because you're not trying to be something you're not. And I think for me, one thing I always try to, doesn't mean I always do it, right? We're still human, is I always try to maintain holding myself accountable for, like, being who I am at the club that person when I'm in neighborhood, you know, like whatever it is, wherever I am. If I'm at the gallery and it's a daytime vibe exhibition, I still need to hold the same values and be the same person in that space, and still know that when I go to Louis later that night, or the club, wherever I'm going, or an event, that I'm still holding those values, you know. I can't now, you know, be in a situation and now I'm this bro, then I'm there and I'm now that bro. That's exhausting. That is so tiring, you know.
With all the things you do you ever feel like there's nothing else for you to do? Because you've done events at a small scale, you've done events at a festival scale.
Nah, dog,
you've done them
this
indoors,
more.
outdoors,
I feel
for other
you.
people, yourself, different provinces.
I feel you. I think, no, dog, like, there's still more. There's definitely still more. I think people always need spaces to hone their creativity, to express themselves. I don't think it stops here. I know that, you know, and I don't think it stops here, not just for me, for everyone, you know, who's a part of this ecosystem that I keep referring to. Like, a lot of us still haven't existed into international spaces yet and what that looks like. And a lot of us haven't, you know, that thing is still growing. And I think there's always going to be room for more opportunity. I think to create culture, it's a constant thing. It's a river. It's constantly flowing. You get new things, old things die out, things come in. So I think there's always room. Like, I think you get tired of the formula sometimes and the process you have to go through. But in terms of the creating part and the ideation and what's possible, I don't think that thing can ever get tiring, dog. Yeah.
What's your role now? Music management.
So for a long time, I thought you should be a manager. I said, nah, I don't want to deal with artists. But, you know, shout out to Party Time and Playroom, and when we started Rising Star competition, I mean, we used to get over 300 applicants, like from wherever you were, Mpumalanga, Durban, Cape Town, Joburg, and we would have to come down to a list of 10. And in that competition, it's like you see these kids arrive, some of them making missions, no money, like they're here for the music, you know, they're about it. And I think Rising Star, like nurturing young people just on its own is a passion of mine, and nurturing talent. And I think Rising Star made me see my love for it enough to say, you know what, I can't take this on. And I think when I resigned and left until end of last year, I was obviously in a place of like, yo, what now? Obviously, I'm going to keep doing the things I was doing while I was still at until. But what's my next
9 to
drive?
5.
Yeah, what's my next drive point? You know, like, what do I want to do next? And I think artist management for me was inevitable from that, because after Rising Star competition, a lot of those artists came together. You know, they met there, or they found each other there. And La Cabra, the winner of the last one, was the start of the Kwailas with his best friend Lo-Fi, and they're also Legio. So when that started to unfold and we saw that we were still a part of their journey in a lot of ways, you know, they came here and we were the people that they could refer to or call if they needed advice. And then the journey just took naturally. One day the boys approached me and they're like, yo, we need management. And I said, let's do it, you know. Let's do it, because my love for it's there. My love for you guys is there. I'm also a firm believer in like breaking the gatekeeping thing. I think it's hard, but accessibility is important for young people, and
So
no
you
matter
want
what
other people
industry.
to be unemployed.
Nah, don't be unemployed. Just understand that as time goes, your role changes. I know I'm not going to be an artist manager my whole life. I know that.
That's a quotable, by the way.
Because there's going to come a time where my role in this thing, if I still want to be a part of this culture thing, this creative thing, this industry thing, is going to change. Roles change. And, you know, you're not going to always be the brew whose event's the best event. You're not. You're not always going to be the brew who wants to be on the road. You don't. You know, I don't want to be 40 and on the road. No.
Shout out
Right.
to the 40-year-olds on the road.
But shout out to the guys who are doing it, and I was still about it. But I know personally for myself, by that point, I don't want to be there, right? I would like to think that my role has developed or changed in what I love to do. So, yeah, dude, I took them on. I took the Workaholics on, Insert Goins and Roscoe, and
DJ Cindy Soul.
ish. And I love them. I love both the groups that I manage. I think out of what I've been doing, I've also learned a lot. They teach me a lot too. They're young. Like,
How feasible is it?
dog, artist management. You work with percentages, dog. Yeah, genuinely work with percentages.
Because you're coming from eventing budget.
Yeah, I
budget
come
is
from
always
the
like,
back end.
If we do the right thing,
Yeah.
we good.
You know what? That's so true because it's also hard. It's not hard, but I think the experience of also knowing the back end and working at the back end and then also having to be on the front with the artists and fighting for the artist rates or whatever, I also am able to understand a promoter's limitations. So I think in that way, like I don't mind being that middleman between an artist and a promoter because I know what it's like. I am the promoter, I've been the promoter, and then I also have the management hat. So yeah, and I mean, shout out to the rest of the team. Like, it's not just me helping with the Gwellas.
This is a stretch. The
Yeah.
Julia dream, you go into music, festivals, eventing, now you're in management. Is the next step then publishing a record label?
No.
Why not? Because you're
Um,
dealing with the promoters, you're dealing with the gigs.
I mean, I still deal with
Might as well eat the whole cake.
I still deal with the distributors, the publishers. Look, that's the one side that I don't want to go to. I don't feel a desire to sit in an office and be a label exec. No, I'm
Why?
very much someone who I love being on the ground. I love being able to know what's going on. I love being part of what's happening. Not to fit in, to learn and to know and to understand that I don't know everything that's going on. Like I said, the Gwellas have taught me a lot in the 6 months that I've been with them now about things I don't even know. Even lingo, I'm just like, what? What are you saying? Outside of what's the goal, what are you saying to me?
I guess for them it gets deeper because Amazulu and
Yeah,
it's
and-
like Mategi gave us the commercial version.
Ish, dog. And with them, it just keeps, there's a dictionary going, And for me, that's the thing. I love being on the ground. If I say tomorrow and I can't do it and I'm like, yo, let me go to Cape Town or let me go wherever.
Yeah.
I want to go. I don't want to say, yo, I'm taking leave. This time, this date. No. And I think more than that, I don't believe in record labels anymore. I think we're getting to a point where artists don't need record labels. They don't. I don't think so. I think a distributor, a publisher, it's enough. And I think more importantly, we need to hone in on the skills of what a manager does and skills of what an artist does for themselves. And I always say this to people, 60% is you, 40% is your team. At the end of the day, it's your life, it's your job. I'm here to facilitate and guide that and help and make that thing real. But at the end of the day, you're the artist. I'm not the star. You're the artist.
It's
your
want to
job.
be the star.
Yeah, I don't want to be the star. This is why I didn't want to be a manager, because I feel like in SA, a lot of managers want to be the star. And then, yeah. So
There's a thing they used to say that high school art teachers are failed artists. I always thought that. So it kind of feels like that with managers sometimes. Not all of them, but.
yeah, and I think, when managers miss the line, and it's partly why I was so hesitant of going into it. 50% of your job is artist managing, but the other 50% is artist development. And again, it goes back to nurturing, and that involves a lot more than just artist gigs, artist music, artist brand. It's the person, it's the character you're developing, It's the relationship that you have with them, and it's the relationship they have with others and themselves. It's who they are outside of that brand. And understanding that, if they're not grand here mentally and emotionally, the music and the work, the content is not grand. It doesn't resonate. It's not real, right? And that's my opinion. Again, it's open to whatever, but genuinely, that's my stance on it, I can only do so much and say so much. But at the end of the day, like, this is a whole other human being who's also saying, my life is a brand. Yeah, take it. Facilitate it, navigate it, nurture it.
You do artist management, you do all this great work. What do you think is the constant thing that carries you throughout all these different fields?
Constant thing. The thing that keeps the drive going.
Besides Red Bull, give you wings.
Dog, I care, and I can't even explain to you why I care. I think I care because I was that kid who didn't have access, and I created my own access with my friends. Big part of why we started Corp was the fact that there was something, like there was a space for us, but there was also like you're constantly fighting to be in that space. So you're constantly having to be something you're not to be in that space as a young person, right? Already as a young person, you're dealing with identity complexities about who you are, whatever, how you identify, all those layers, right? So I think for me, the one thing that drives me is remembering that moment we started Corp and like understanding why I was that kid who wanted to be somewhere in the space, but nobody gave it to me. I had to work for it. I had to put in that 60% until the guidance started to come in. And that's the reality of the thing that we do, you know, like, and that's also the complex, the gray area between like gatekeeping. Like, I can't put you on if you have nothing to show for it, you know? And I know I'm saying controversial things.
But what quantifies something to show for it?
No, like, show me what you're doing. You know, like there's a lot of kids or a lot of people who come and they're like, yo, dog, like, I just want to do things. Like, I want to put me on. But I'm like, okay, what do you do? What do you do? Like, is it, like, do you want to do events? What is it, right? And then then there's the line of like, okay, maybe they know that they want this thing, they just don't know what out of this thing they want. So finding the initiative to take on something and building something is a lot, right? And no one teaches us those things. No one taught us how to start an event. No, we were a mess. No one taught us to start these things. But it's one of those things where it's like, I knew some part of me could start to see when we started it that like, that's when people really start to be like, okay, like, you want to do this thing, you want to learn. Wherever this thing ends up taking you, at least this person has the drive and the initiative and enthusiasm to be involved. And that goes for everyone who started Corp with me. Like, I mean, they're all doing different things now, but that platform ultimately, like when we started that thing, it also helped us find what we truly wanted to do. You know, I stayed in the entertainment space, I stayed in the music, the brand, all of that stuff. But homies went and figured out they wanted to do film. Others went and did scoring for film. Some became graphic designers. But it all started because we came collectively to put our skill sets, our interests together to start something. And I guess what I'm saying is I encourage young people to do that, you know.
I encourage young people to have skills, tangible skills.
Yeah.
You can't be a creative director if you actually don't have a skill. Be a graphic designer, be a creative director.
Yeah, 100%.
Have something we can invest in and trust in before we do anything else.
And try. There's no harm in trying. You know, even like now between me and you, right, age mates. Our age mates are scared of trying. We're at a point where like everyone's so scared, what if it flops, dog? What's wrong with flopping?
I think it becomes tricky to invest in your dreams when your allowance could be a salary.
Sure, facts, big facts, right? But there's no harm in trying things. You know, when you put your heart in the culture, there's no harm in trying things. You know, brands will only ever come later as well. We all know this. Like, and that's the thing. You want the money, but that's what I mean when I say you need something to show for it. And I'm only speaking the reality of what it is we're living. You know, it would be lovely to say, yo, I need 50K, I want to do this thing. No proof of concept. It would be so nice. It'd be so clean. Yo, I just have an idea.
Imagine
just support me.
if you had a proof of concept. How much money you could get.
Do you know what I'm saying? But brands are always going to come back to you saying, okay, but What is it? You know, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Let me down. Let me see it on pictures, paper, whatever it is that you're presenting it on. And that's just the reality of this industry that we live in between creative and brand, unfortunately. Hence, I'm saying I encourage young people to try, hone in on your skills, collectively come together with your friends or whatever it is, try something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, try the next thing. But yeah, and most importantly, not even just to the young people, to everyone else. Give young people the time of day. You know, like, you were once that young person. It's not nice when you get nyats. It's not nice.
You know what I think is also the craziest thing? This is going to be my controversial take. I think young people should focus more on other young people, as in community drive. Stop looking for the cosign
Facts.
from what you deem the OG.
Facts.
Because everything that they know got them to that point,
100%.
right? There's nothing else they're going to show you. Besides the admin. The OGs are there for admin at this stage. Your friends are the only ones with new ideas.
Yeah.
Your friend circles are the only ones who are thinking faster, marketing it faster. And those are the people you truly understand because you exist within them.
I agree with you 100%. And again, it goes like, go to the ecosystem that you know until you can get to broaden that further into the ecosystem. And I say this all the time. So it's that thing, like, create community is so important. Use it, utilize it.
How do you cultivate community?
Yo, what a question. I think listening, we don't do it enough. Like, I think often people tell us what they want and then we still, we like look past it, you know. I think cultivating community is about values. It's about being transparent. And I always say this, like, when you host an event, when you curate a space, whatever it is you're doing, it's not about you. You're doing it for the purpose for other people to enjoy and experience. So you're constantly having to put your shoes in the yourself in the consumer's shoes, because at the end of the day, they're the community. They're that special moment. They're that special thing. So cultivating it is really about listening and understanding. And you know, it's like I said, like if you try something and it doesn't work, ask people, why do you think this thing didn't work? What is it? What am I doing wrong? You know, you know, is the music bad or whatever it is, however you're looking at it, whatever it is you're doing to cultivate community. Are you talking about things on a panel discussion that people don't want to hear about, or the people that you've invited to the space don't want to hear about? So I think cultivating community, it's about cultivating values. It's understanding those values and then implementing those values into whatever it is you're creating. And then people will resonate.
Boss Lady Army, what's your word to the youth?
Yo, I have so many.
Spit them all.
My words for the youth is try. Put yourself out there. Nobody's going to do it for you. And nobody's going to give you the hand. And, you know, nobody does. Don't expect them to. Try. Just try and see what happens. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt to try. Trying is so important. And you don't know what can come out of that, even just for yourself as a person, character development-wise, you know? So to the youth, try. Put yourself out there. Take care of each other. Nurture each other. If you want to be in this creative thing, this industry, we don't nurture each other enough as community. We don't. As much as we should, we don't. So nurture each other. You guys have the chance to do better. Look at the blueprints that have been given from what you reference and know, and create your own blueprints. Create your own blueprints. Simple as that.
Another special edition with the boss lady herself. This was insightful and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.